Thanksgiving break, I finally got to experience virtual reality from one of my sister's friends. And it was an amazing experience because, I've never tried it before, and as soon as I put the headset on, my surroundings just disappeared and was replaced by an artificial world. Now, I knew the side effects before because, of course, I've given 2 speeches on them already, so I knew what I was getting into. As soon as I put the headset on, my eyes immediately felt heavy, like something was pushing on them, but it wasn't bad enough to keep me from playing, so I proceeded to play. And I only got about a couple minutes into it before my eyes started to hurt so bad that I got a little bit of a headache and I started to feel nauseous. So from my personal experience and from others' experiences, I believe that virtual reality is causing negative effects on gamers. But some people feel differently. They think that virtual reality is having positive effects on gamers. And there are a couple of reasons why people think this way. One example is that studies conclude that virtual reality makes gamers more aware. While being immersed in virtual reality, the gamers experience things in 3D, which makes them feel like they're actually in a game, and this can make them more aware. Virtual reality also helps social skills, such as negotiating. Negotiating in virtual reality is beneficial because it's a tailored situation, which means that gamers can test out their skills, getting different outcomes, opting for the best one. Virtual reality also helps their eyesight. Clifton Shore, a professor of vision and science at the University of California, says that in the long term, if anything, virtual reality will help benefit gamers' eyesight. He compares virtual reality to lifting weights for your eyes. He says, quote, "Gamers are making their eyes stronger because that's exactly what we do to strengthen the eye," close quote. And I'm assuming he means by we, optometrists, that's what they do. From my personal experience and through others, I believe that these accusations are false. Virtual reality doesn't improve awareness, it harms them. And I'm going to reiterate something I talked about in my first speech, which was Pokemon Go. Yes, it's still popular. Pokemon Go is considered an augmented reality, which is a cousin to virtual reality. It replaces things in the real world with artificial things such as the Pokemon stops in Pokemon Go. Now, when people played Pokemon Go, they definitely became less aware because they didn't watch where they were going and got hit by cars, they got mugged, and in some cases parents even left their kids to catch Pokemon. Virtual reality hinders social skills. These negotiating skills that I talked about aren't beneficial for virtual reality. Just think about it. If a gamer realizes that they're in a simulation, they won't really worry about failing because they can just try again. Just like in the video game when you die, you can just respawn until you succeed. But in real life, negotiating isn't the same in virtual reality. When you fail at negotiating, if a gamer fails in negotiating, they won't realize how to recover because in virtual reality they never had to, potentially causing the gamers to withdraw from society altogether. Virtual reality is harming eyesight. It harmed my eyesight. When we lift weights, our muscles that we lift weights with are called skeletal muscles, and in our eyes we have 4 skeletal muscles that we use to move our eyes around. So anyone who has lifted weights before knows that to strengthen your muscles, we don't strain them. We lift what we can, and that causes our muscles to get strengthened. Anyone who's strained a muscle knows that it doesn't feel good. So why should we strain our eyes if we aren't supposed to strain our skeletal muscles in our body? These negative effects are inherent and should be seen by everyone. People need to realize that virtual reality is causing negative effects and will continue to if no one is willing to change. Virtual reality is making gamers less aware. Virtual reality is hindering social skills. And virtual reality is harming eyesight. Virtual reality is causing so many more effects than I've talked about, such as it's causing isolation and violence and nightmares and physical injuries and addiction and bad posture and nausea. And this is just the beginning. Because virtual reality is so new, some of the effects aren't known yet. encourage you guys to study virtual reality and its drawbacks before buying into it, so you guys can keep yourselves healthy and so society can continue to grow and develop before turning stagnant and artificial.
Can you really compare augmented reality, such as the stuff in Pokemon Go, to like virtual reality?
Yeah, because in augmented reality, you replace certain things in real world with artificial things like the Pokemon stops in Pokemon Go, and in virtual reality, it replaces the real world with a new world. They're like your cousins. Augmented reality and virtual reality are cousins.
Did you experience any other negative effects other than the eye strain?
Eye strain, and it caused me to get a headache and get nausea, and I only experienced it for a couple minutes. So if I would have kept playing, I probably may have I would have gotten used to the eyesight problem, or I would have experienced different effects. Maggie?
Do you think, like with motion sickness, some people can get used to it, and when they get used to it, then the effects don't happen anymore? Maybe because you were new to it, maybe that's why the effects were happening.
Yeah, I experienced it from one of my sister's friends who owned it. It was an Oculus Rift, and he didn't experience any eye effects, I'm assuming because he got used to it. But just because he's getting used to the eye problems doesn't mean that more problems are to come. Jackie?
Did it blur your vision at all, or just cause you to have like a headache?
It just caused me to have a headache. It was like my eyes were just like pushing back in my head, and it just caused me to get the headache like right above my eyes. But it didn't get blurry at all when I took it off.
Are there any age restrictions in purchasing it? And if not, do you think there should be?
There are age restrictions, but like all games, they're advised. They're not actually set in like up to law. I think there should be age restrictions, especially among the little kids who, if they play like a horror game, they're gonna get nightmares.
All right.